The phone buzzed at 2:14 in the morning on a Thursday, face down on the kitchen counter, and the name on the lock screen was not mine. I was standing there in socks with a glass of water, half asleep, because the ice maker had been dying for weeks and the freezer pops like a gunshot when it tries. I glanced down out of habit. The preview said Nico, then a question, "Did you tell him yet?" I did not pick it up. I put the glass down carefully, like the counter might break, and I went back to bed next to Elena and stared at the dark until the ceiling felt personal. For 3 years, Elena and I had built a life that looked adult on paper. Shared lease on a 2-bedroom with a parking spot we paid extra for. Joint account for rent and groceries. Separate accounts for fun money because a podcast once told us that was healthy. We were talking about a wedding in a vague spring. The kind of talk where nobody books a venue, but everyone assumes the direction of travel. Elena is 34. I am 36. She works in operations for a logistics company that makes packages appear on porches like magic and makes her phone buzz at ugly hours. I do project work for a mid-size firm that will never be famous. We are not rich. We are careful. We have a shared spreadsheet titled Household with categories that would bore a jury. I did not sleep much. At 6:40, she kissed my forehead and left for an early stand-up. I heard the front door. I heard the car. I waited 10 minutes like a coward, then I walked into the kitchen. The phone was gone. That should have been the end of a bad dream. It was not. Because at lunch I went to the car to grab a cable from the glove box, the cable that lives under the registration and the expired sunscreen, and my fingers hit a second rectangle wrapped in a black silicone case I had never bought. Same brand of phone as hers. Different case. No stickers. No crack in the corner like her daily one. I sat in the driver's seat with the door half open and the parking garage concrete breathing cold on my ankles, and I told myself I was about to do something I could not undo. The lock screen was a gray abstract wallpaper, no photo of us, no photo of her sister's dog. The clock was wrong by 4 minutes, like it lived in a slightly different country. I tried her usual pin first, her mother's birthday, the one she uses for everything she pretends is random. It opened. If you have never unlocked a door you were not invited through, you do not know how quiet the air gets. Messages first, because that is where the knife is supposed to be. Nico. Hundreds of threads compressed into a single green bubble of history. Some of it was soft, some of it was logistical. Can you bring the envelope? Unit 12 still needs the filter. Do not use the joint card. There were heart emojis. There were voice notes I did not play in the garage because I am not a character in a movie and I still had a meeting at 2. I scrolled until my thumb hurt. There were photos. A small kitchen with a window that is not our window. A mattress on a low frame. A takeout bag from a place near the river, not near us. A key in a palm. A screenshot of a keypad code with the numbers circled. My first story was the simple one. Affair. Second place. I am the last person to know. That story is brutal and clean and it makes you the main character of a tragedy. Then I opened banking. Not our banking app. A different one, logged in, with a balance that made my stomach drop for a different reason. Recurring transfers out. $2,400. One label said utilities. Another transfer, irregular, just said note. Another, 3 weeks ago, said storage unlocked. I took pictures of the screen with my real phone because my hands did not trust my memory. Calendar next. Entries like a Second Life wearing a name tag. Lease auto. Rafi call 7 p.m. Friday. Note due. Do not miss. Tell D after Friday. And my name starts with D. I closed the calendar and opened Notes, the default app people use when they think they are being clever. There was a list. Rent $2,400 for Unit 12. Note interest this month. If called early, joint savings. Do not tell D until refinanced. Rafi wants proof of payment Friday at 5 p.m. If Rafi walks, they call the note and it hits the household. I sat there long enough for the garage lights to cycle. A neighbor walked past with a Costco run and nodded at me like men nod when they assume you are also tired of capitalism. I put the second phone back under the sunscreen exactly as I found it. I went upstairs. I went to work. I sat in a meeting about third-quarter timelines and heard nothing except the word Friday ticking in my skull like a cheap clock. That night, Elena was soft and normal. She made pasta. She asked about my day. She put her head on my shoulder on the couch, and I felt the shape of the life we had, and I hated how much of me still wanted to pretend the glove box was empty. I did not confront her Thursday night. That is not virtue. That is strategy mixed with fear. I needed the address. I needed to know if Nico was a lover, a ghost, a business, or a bomb. Friday morning, she left early again. I called out sick with a voice that almost sounded real. I drove to the address from the photos. A low brick building near the river with a parking lot that always has one shopping cart living its best life. Unit 12. I stood outside long enough to feel stupid. Then a man opened the door before I knocked. Mid-30s, tired eyes. Not handsome in a movie way, handsome in a this person has been surviving way. He looked at me like he had been waiting for a different disaster. "You're not Rafi," he said. "I'm D," I said, and watched the color leave his face. He almost closed the door. Then he said, "She said you wouldn't find out until after." I showed him nothing. I asked for nothing dramatic. I said, "How long?" He said, "The place, 11 months. The money, longer. The note, before you two moved in together." Inside, the studio was exactly the photos. Mattress, cheap table, a laptop, a stack of mail addressed to a name I will not put here. On the fridge, a printed schedule. On the counter, an envelope with Rafi written in Elena's handwriting. Nico made coffee like a hostage trying to be polite. He told me the spine without the romance novel packaging. Years before me, Elena and a man named Rafi ran a small wholesale side operation. Not glamorous, not criminal in the Hollywood sense, just inventory and a loan from someone who does not use a bank smile. The business failed the normal way, slow, then all at once. Rafi had the relationships. Elena had co-signed the private note because she believed in the numbers and in him. When it collapsed, Rafi did not vanish into a cartoon villain cape. He stayed in their city and kept the debt warm. Elena had been paying interest and good faith for a long time for money she did not advertise. When the payments got heavier, she rented Unit 12 under a clean name, moved Nico, Rafi's younger brother, into it as part of a deal I still only half understand. Keep the brother housed and working, keep Rafi from calling the full note, keep the war off our welcome mat. And the messages, I said. The hearts. Nico looked at the floor. Sometimes people get lonely inside a lie. It doesn't make the lie smaller. I asked if they were sleeping together. He said, "Not for months, not like you think, and that is not the part that empties your account on Friday." I believed him about the money. I did not fully believe him about the months. Both things can be true. A debt can be real, and a boundary can still be rotten. My phone buzzed. "Elena, where are you? Your office said you were out." I typed nothing. I drove home. I put the second phone on the kitchen table like evidence in a show I did not want to star in. I waited. She came in at 11:20 with 2 coffees, saw the black case, and stopped so hard the drinks trembled. "You went through my stuff," she said first, which is a fascinating opening statement when the stuff is a second life. "You built a second life in our car," I said. "Start with Friday." She cried in the efficient way people cry when they have been rehearsing this conversation in the shower for a year. She admitted the note. She admitted Unit 12. She admitted Rafi. She admitted the joint savings line in her notes like it was a draft she never meant to publish. She said she was trying to refinance the private debt into something less radioactive. She said Friday at 5 was the day Rafi wanted proof she was still serious, or he would call the note and send collection energy into any account with her name on it, including the one with our rent buffer. I asked how much. She said the remaining note was $84,000, with interest that made my mouth taste like metal. She said she had already put in more than she could explain without sounding insane. She said she loved me. She said she was protecting me by not telling me. That sentence, protecting me, is how people rename control. I asked about Nico. She said, "It got messy. It should not have. The housing was the deal. The rest was me being weak in a locked room." I asked why my name was in a note that said "Tell D" after Friday. She said, "Because if I made it through the refinance, I could tell you as a solved problem instead of a fire." I laughed once, ugly. "You were going to present a confession with a bow on it." We sat for a long time. The ice maker popped. The world kept being ordinary around a kitchen table holding a second phone. Here is what I did not do. I did not throw a chair. I did not call her mother. I did not post screenshots to a group chat for applause. Here is what I did. I opened our joint account on my laptop while she watched, and I moved the savings buffer into an account only I control. Not to steal our life, to stop a stranger named Rafi from treating our rent money like collateral in a story I never signed. Elena said, "If you do that, he calls it. If he calls it, I'm finished." I said, "If you empty it without telling me, we are both finished, and I only find out when the rent check bounces." She called Rafi from the second phone on speaker. His voice was calm in the way people sound when they have won before. He said Friday was Friday. He said family arrangements were not his problem. He said Elena knew the terms when she signed. I spoke once. I said my name. I said I was not on the note. I said any attempt to touch accounts that were not hers would become a lawyer problem before it became a payment problem. I do not know if that was brave or theater. It was the best sentence I had. Rafi said, "Then she pays from somewhere else." After the call, Elena looked smaller. Nico texted the second phone. "Is he there? Are we okay?" She typed, "Don't come here." I spent Friday afternoon doing unromantic things. I photographed every screen I could. I called our bank's fraud line and asked stupid careful questions about joint account exposure. I emailed myself a timeline with dates. I changed the garage code. I took the second phone SIM out and put the device in a drawer, which is not a legal strategy, just a boundary with a click. At 4:51 in the afternoon, Elena transferred money from her personal account, money I did not know she still had, and sent Rafi proof. The second phone lit up with a thumbs up like we had completed a pizza order. She said, "I bought us 30 days. I said, "You bought yourself 30 days. I bought a lock on the joint money." That night, she slept in the guest room without me asking. I slept in our bed and hated the empty half like it was a person. The next weeks were not a clean breakup montage. They were logistics, lawyers, a mediator voice on Zoom, Nico moving out of Unit 12 into a cheaper place with a roommate who is not a secret, Elena starting paperwork that should have started years ago, me learning the difference between love and access. People want to know if we are still together. Here is the honest version. We are not the couple from the spreadsheet anymore. We are two adults who shared a life while one of them ran a parallel operation with rent, interest, and a man who could knock on the wrong door. We are in counseling because ending everything on a Friday afternoon felt like letting Rafi write the last chapter. We are also living as if the next 30-day window might be the last one that still includes a shared address. I am not a hero. I unlocked a phone. I moved money. I refused to be the last person informed about a bomb under the floorboards. If you are waiting for a verdict button, leave her. Burn it all. I do not have one that fits in a comment. I have a second phone in a drawer, a savings account with a new password, and a partner who can build an entire apartment out of silence. The affair was only the first door. Behind it was a debt, a deadline, and a version of our future that had already been collateral. I am writing this down so I stop rewriting it in my head at 2:14 in the morning, waiting for a buzz that is not for me.